Hey, um, welcome. This is Electra Silver Fox, and it's my first ever FLOSSTUBE video. And I don't know how to do that. It's a bit overwhelming. It's gonna be a bit wonky. It's the first one. It's gonna be cool anyway, I hope. I thought that I'd introduce by telling you a bit about why I decided to have my own channel here on FLOSSTUBE, and it kind of divides into two reasons. First one being, oh my god, y'all are so cute. Like, I found this community a year ago, and I've been watching it ever since, and there's so much kindness and care put into everything that you do, say, make, share, and that's so cool. Basically, that's so wholesome, and it's really, really inspiring. So it made me want to be a part of it. So reason number one, you dope. Reason number two, I'm to give a bit of context, I'm an art student in Paris. Well, technically a fashion design student, but I'm more in the fine arts type of approach. And before having so much textiles in my life and my practice, I used to study film and be really interested in making movies and experimental short movies especially, which is something that kind of went away when I found my way and found solace in making with embroidery and sewing and like using textiles as a medium in general. However, these days and lately I've been feeling the urge to go back a bit to my roots kinda and express myself through video again. And I thought that the FLOSSTUBE would be a cool opportunity to, try things and experiment and express myself through moving pictures basically. So that's why it's gonna be a bit peculiar and odd to watch my videos in the way that they don't look like the average FLOSSTUBE videos, I know, and I hope you won't, be mad at me. But yeah, I see this FLOSSTUBE as both like a community thing of me wanting to share stuff with you as much as you share with me, but also I see it as some kind of art project, an experimental project. So bear with me. It's gonna be cool anyway. It's just gonna be a bit odd at first to get used to the black and white and all, but yeah. So this is gonna be WIP parade because lots of first episodes are WIP parades because it's easy, and it also gives, I believe, a good idea of who we are and what we'll actually do in Stitch. So, and we'll probably find some common ground and things to talk about together based on this. So that's cool. But before that, I'm just going to give you a little story time of how I got into cross stitch and stitching in general. So, it kind of began with my mom because my mom is a cross stitcher herself. So, from the get-go, I've always known her to be a stitcher. Coming and going. Sometimes she'd stitch a lot for a couple of months, and sometimes she wouldn't stitch for years. I'm sure some of you will relate to that. But yeah, I have very fond memories of me going with her to her LNS, buying stuff. And once she actually bought me a kit for kids, those plastic grids with gigantic holes to stitch wools in it. And I think it was a frog with green frog with yellow details, but I hated it because one knot led to a bigger knot that led to more and more bigger knots, and so I just quit and never did it again. But when I got 19, I discovered on Twitter that someone had embroidered their backpack with like a random detail of a painting, And I thought it was so cool that I wanted to try it because I myself had a spec bag and I wanted to pimp it because it was black and boring. Um, so yeah, because I knew that my mom had the notions available and that she was not stitching at the time, I bought them and stitched my first ever thing that I have laying under my eyes. It's a shirt that I was not wearing anymore because, you know, in case of failure. Um, and I stitched it with the name of the car of James Dean because I was in love with him at the time. Still kind of am. I mean, I grew up, so I'm not in love with like passed away people anymore. But he was a Y icon though, so you know. And so this is shirt. And so this says Little Bastard, and the stitching is pretty neat actually. Yeah, I have not seen this in a while because I just got it at the closet for you, but those are tiny stitches, and I don't do that anymore. But yeah, the backs are less cute, but you know, first times. And then so this is how I started actually traditional embroidery. um, I used to take a lot of inspiration from Pinterest because, you know, 2018 was trendy for line art type of designs, and so it was easy for me to reproduce and get my hand on stitching and, you know, every spec to it. So like the length of the stitch, tension, etc., and the style of stitches. Um, so yeah, that's how I started, and then with time, I grew to be tired of just reproducing and wanted something more personal. And as my creative and artistic personality was growing up, also, I ended up finding my way, and I started drawing in a certain way. That's still the way I draw today, and that, you know, you'll see those little men a lot around here. Um, and I started I started a series, for example, of secondhand clothing that were really sportswear style, and I'd stitched them with naked men, um, tone on tone. I'll pop pictures of them so you can see. Um, but I'm really fond of this series, and I took so much pleasure into doing them. So yeah, it's a very fun memory. And then cross stitching, I got back to when I got into art school, I believe, for a school assignment where I stitched reinterpretations of artists of the 20th century artists who make theirs the figure of Saint Sebastian, which is a very popular homoerotic motif and character. And so yeah, I stitched them, and it just got me back into cross stitch. And then I found FLOSSTUBE. And then, you know, my downfall, because I started like charts, floss, etc., etc. You can relate. I know that. And yeah, here I am now, trying to make a video. So I guess we were gonna go to the WIP parade now. Yeah, let's go. All right, so let's go. This is a modern folk embroidery piece by Jacob. This is Swedish folkcushion. And it is stitched in Zweigart. All my linen is Zweigart for now. In 32 count. Wait. yeah, 32 count anthracite. So I guess in English it's some like dark gray. And it's so cool. Actually, the original design depicts what I assume to be a woman and a man holding hands, but here we're gay and it's Pride Month, so I just switched the lady for another man, but I kept the details of her skirt to put into his pants, also to make them a bit different, and I think that's really cute. As far as floss goes, this is probably classic colorways blacksmith blue, and this has to be some like blue jeans, but basically a dark blue with a faded lighter blue. And for the rest, I can't tell because basically this one I started way before Pride Month, back in February, I believe, and I was kind of starting with like over-dyed floss, and so I had a bit. My mom actually got me a lot for my Christmas present, and so I was, taking in this. However, the fabric I used to put on a hoop, but I was not able to stretch it enough to see the holes, and so it was really, really depressing to get on this piece because I was not seeing anything. So I just put it away, as well as the colorway. And you know what? Last week I was like, oh my god, I want to show this project, but also I want to stitch it. And I bought a Q-snap. This is my first ever Q-snap, and I got it a couple of days ago. And I already see the holes so much clearer. So I have not put any stitch ever since I got the Q-snap, but I will. And I think it's going to help me so much. And I'm going to be able to continue it. Yeah, so I'll show you the colorway next time, because by that time I think I'll have it. But yeah, really cute design that I really like. Then we have another modern folk embroidery. So I do my own project bags, and they were tiny. They were tiny project bags with snaps, because I only stitch in hand, so I don't besides that one, so I don't have to carry around any Q-snap or hoop. And usually I do smalls, so I just fold them and put them in here, and it's easy it's easy also for me to travel with. So this is one of the spring pincushions that he did, stitched on 36 count lilac with DMC 3042. And I love it. So the idea was to make a tone-on-tone effect on it again. And the way that I kind of vary and add texture to it is that, for example, for now, the exterior borders, they are stitched 1/2, and some details like the little dude and some ornaments in the corners and here are stitched 2/2. Yeah, and once again, it calls for a man and a lady with a heart and a crown, and I'm gonna make 2 dudes because Kate. But I really like it. It's really cute. I'm probably not gonna make the other 2 pincushions. I'm not even sure I'm gonna finish this as a pincushion. I'm probably gonna frame it because I love framing things. But yeah, that's cute. So yeah, next we have Tatreez by Jordan Nassar. And Jordan Nassar is an artist based in New York. He's American, born American, but of Palestinian descent. And he uses a lot of Palestinian traditional embroidery, called tatreez, in his work. And usually he makes those big compositions of stitching blocks. Most of the time landscapes, but kind of varies, and it's really, really intricate, really beautiful. And nowadays he does a little bit of mosaics also. And this is a chart that he created in collaboration with the Mosaic Rooms, which from what I understood is an art gallery in London aiming to showcase more of the Arab world art scene. So yeah, and he had a chat about his work, so go take a look at it if you're interested. Basically, what's cool with it is that you can make it in a whole like variety of different ways with the colors. So what I decided to do is not go monochromatic because character development, but I chose 2 colors for the base. So the green is DMC 934, the purple lilac is 211, and then following this column in this one that I've pasted is going to be a bright pop magenta accent with DMC 917. So what I'm doing now is working on pretty much the first half of it, because I want the 2 sides to be complete before adding the pink, to see if I like it. If I do, then cool. If I don't, then I'll frog it and just go with 2-tone. But yeah, then it keeps me from like stitching the whole piece and realizing that I don't like it. I want to see some pink in here, so I don't want to wait the end for making it. But yeah, really cool design, and also, oh my god, I love the back on this piece. I don't know what you consider a neat back, but I consider this a beautiful back. And I love working on backs. You'll see in a project that I'll tell you more about later. But yeah, I love this. Then we have Atkinson. So this is a design by Chloe Wood at Girl with the Cable Stitches. And this is where I'm at. So, stitched on 38 count, my first piece in 38 count actually, with some overdye threads. And it's a mix between some classic colorworks, so Bunny Honey and Cocoa Bean, and then we have some French ones that I'm really excited to tell you about. So there's one called Atali, called Verdo. The other one is La, and then we have Histoire de Nain. And you may know Histoire de Nain because Becky from the Wishing Thorn uses them. And this is actually how I got to know them. So thank you, Becky. Shout out. And so here I have Cyprès and Fig. I don't know how to say fig. It's a fruit. And I don't know how to say Cyprès. It's a tree. Pinecone? Pinewood? Cypress? I don't know. I do not know. I'm sorry. I'm not fluent in trees and fruits. But yeah, so I started this back in March, I believe, with 32 count vintage gray fabric and something that resembled a cult for. That was not really, but it was blues and kind of brownish tones. But then I was not that much sure, so I stitched a tiny bit and left it to stitch on other stuff. And then in May, I did not stitch anything because at school we had our final terms, and so I had a lot of projects to, finish. So I did not stitch anything that was not my designs. And well, in June, I got back into stitching other people's stuff. And by that time, I had bought so much floss, that I had more to choose from to create colorways and color stories. So I switched it to something that's more about purples and greens and browns, which I really like. However, I don't know if the bunny honey fantasy for the stems and the leaves is the right way to go. I first tried to put some one of a kind by Stardana, but it was not working because it was too yellow and purple and yellow. I know, chromatic wheel, I don't like it. Yeah, as much as I'm a tone-on-tone fan, I don't know. But I'm gonna stitch it that way anyway because I'm tired of frogging this beautiful flower. So we'll see, and at the very least it'll be subtle, and we'll call it refined and elegant. So yeah, this is Kate Atkinson. Beautiful design, I love it. Then beautiful piece that you probably all know by the time, by Mary Crafts Marion. This is the Afshan sampler. This is where I'm at. So this is friction pen. I'm a fashion design student, so I know my friction pen. Don't freak out, I didn't draw on it. Because I wanted to, usually I stitch from the center out, but for this piece I wanted to get my hands on the border real quick because I wanted to stitch it on the train, and because it's quite, repetitive, I could manage to do it. Same thing for the trees, because it's a lot of geometrics. It's easy for me to stitch a bit of the, I don't know, whatever color it is, and then keep going on the train without having to look at the chart. So this is how I stitch these designs. Then you see a bit of the Afshan flower. And so this is stitched with another French dye called Un Petit Fil, which is a shop owned by Fabi. And so this is Angèle, and it goes from dark gray to really light gray and everything in between. And I love it, but it's very, very, very variegated. Very, very variegated. And so I try to kind of like make a ladder to even out the variegation and not have too much strikes and stripes. But I don't know if it works. It's cute. Yeah, it's cute anyway, but I don't know. I'm just trying. And for this part, I wanted stripes, so I'm just stitching horizontally. But yeah, I love it. Oh my god, I ran into an issue though. If you know, okay, call for help. I'm stitching this on 18 count Ada with 2/2 8-meter skeins of floss, and I bought 5, but I do not know if I will have enough. So, option 1, I have enough, and it's all good. Option 2, I don't. And so I can either send an email to Fabi to know if it's still possible to get some of this from the same bath that I got it from, which is like, I bought it a month ago, so it might be possible. Or option 3, I don't have enough, and then I think that I just squeeze some of the motifs and keep the ones that I like the most. And yeah, kind of like sauver les meubles, like we say in French. Salvage what we can. We'll see. If you know how much floss we need for this, feel free to tell me. If Mariam, you go by here. I'm too shy to ask you. But yeah, anyway, beautiful sampler, love it. And I think, Nivea from Daybreak Stitchery, she created the cute up style, so if you want to stitch on something of said artist, but you already have something on the go with them, then you have to finish it first before starting something new of their designs. And honestly, I think Miriam's gonna be one of my cute upsell because on Etsy, I believe that she put some of the designs that were not on Gumroad, and so definitely gonna get into it. And also, I have some of her menagerie to make, so you know, I'm not done with her beautiful work. So yeah, Afshan sampler. Then we have daily portraits in Paris 1900, Exposition Universelle, by Shade Stitchery, Nori. So this is where I'm at. So I primarily focused on the black and red, tiny bit of the gray. Again, 18 count Ada platinum. Really cool pattern, really important, and basic. If you don't know, I think you probably saw it because it's been around, but basically it's based on a series of graphs and like diagrams by W.E.B. Du Bois, who was a sociologist and who presented them at the Exposition Universelle de Paris to showcase the African American experience in life. And so Nori found that very appealing, also on a graphic design point of view, and I think that's very, very interesting. And she did actually a lot of work on her Instagram to give resources for us to learn from. And so, yeah, go take a look. This is very interesting. I started this on the first week of June. I don't recall the date, but with mostly the called for, I just switched some of them for the for stash that I had that was resembling enough. But yeah, and cute upside. Also, I want to start some of her red quartz collection. The last one that she created, based on the miseducation of Lauryn Hill, is bananas, and I want to stitch it so much. So probably gonna do that after I finish the aesthetic portraits. And also, oh my god, she made a version, not with cross stitch, but with like a whole ton of specialty stitches and beads, and it is so, honestly, it's giving me life. It's very vibrant, it's very textured, it's really cool. So go take a look at that on her Instagram also, because this is dope. This is so dope. Then I have another modern folk embroidery piece, and so this one is my oldest WIP. I started on December the 26th of 2022, and so this is the Peacock Tree, stitched on 14 count flax with, again, un petit fil floss, a collection of dark colors that she calls nights. So this is Nuit Violette, Purple Night. It's quite vibrant. It's quite vibrant and saturated. I like it. So this is my first ever linen project, because I was very, very intimidated by linen. So yeah, and this is also my first time with variegated floss, and you can see that the peacock is a bit stripy. And if it was to do again, I'd follow more the curves of the peacock, like the anatomy, the volume. But you know what? For the sake of like cohesiveness, I'm gonna stitch it the same way here, so horizontally. But I like it, and because it was my first linen piece, I fucked up, and here you can see that I had to frog, but like the most horrendous way, because I actually cut out the linen. So yeah, mistake, but I'm not gonna solve it. I'm gonna leave it that way because mistakes are important and we have to acknowledge them and use them as a mean of improvement instead of something that we see as shame. So really beautiful piece, love it. And then the last WIP of other designers that I have to share is actually my birthday start, because yesterday was my birthday. I turned 24. I'm a Prime Month baby, and that's cool. So for this occasion, I decided to go with my first these 20 stitches design, and it's flowers for Sylvia. So this is my start. I stitched it yesterday morning. So this is the rose, and yeah, I like the back so far. Stitching it on 32 count flax with mostly the called for. I just switched, I think, 3 for stash. But yeah, really beautiful. And I'm really happy to stitch it because if you don't know, Sylvia Rivera is one of the 3 names that we remember the most for the Stonewall riots. That's a big timestamp for the queer fight and kind of the uprising in some way. So there was her, Marsha P. Johnson, they were both trans women, and then Stormy DeLavery, who was a lesbian, and they are so important to remember, as much as any other one who fought at the time, but history just got these 3 names. But yeah, they are important to remember, to pay homage to, especially because, well, the G in the LGBT that I'm part of were not tender to them at the time. But it's because of her that we have so much rights and freedom now. So it's important for us to remember that and to acknowledge that. And yeah, I find it very interesting when artists and designer kind of not rewrite, but put minorities back into the bigger history, because we tend to be forgotten. And this is something that Dee actually does really well with their Let's Make a Statement series. So yeah, it's a really important design. Get to know about this history, about Sylvia, Marsha, Stormy, and yeah, really important during the Pride Month and beyond Pride Month, of course. So this is the list I have from the other people's design, and I'm going to show you a bit of what I do. Alright, so the first one I'm going to show you is something I'm making for my best friend for her birthday. So this is Autoportrait d'une dame pour sa sœur, and it's a self-portrait. That's me. That's my mustache. And beyond being a narcissistic piece, it's also a story of so where I work, we had a photo exhibition for the past 2 months, and within this exhibition was shown the work of a Bulgarian artist called Jordan Nassar, and he's not a photographer, he's a collector, and he collects memorabilia of Bulgarian people, because from the 40s to the end of the 80s, there was this tradition of giving out your ID photos to people that you loved with a little note on the backside of it. And usually those notes were like, honestly, poetry. And I don't know, I found it very moving because, you know, we don't know that anymore, especially as young people, because we don't have the same relationship to tangible and like analog photograph, for example, printed photography. I have a lot of photos of her in my phone, for example, and I know that she has some of mine on hers too, but it's not the same. And so instead of giving her one of my ID photos that honestly make me look like a serial killer, I figured that I'd stitch a little piece that I frame into this beautiful kind of golden plated little feed frame that I found secondhand, as a mean of giving my image to her to remember when I'm not here, because, you know, with work studies, I'm not gonna, you know, we all know that we don't see each other as much as we would. But yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna present the right side or the wrong side, because I love it too. I don't know, we'll see. But it's really cute, and I'm stitching it with Nuit Noire, which is one of the night collection, a piece of Un Petit Fil. It's a black one. Really, really pretty. And I'm stitching it 1/2. So yeah. Autoportrait d'une âme pour sa sœur. Love it. And then this is something I'm telling you more about in another video. I don't know when, but it's part of a bigger and my biggest project to date, called A List of Gay Movies. And basically it's a series of embroidered cushions with patchwork borders that I wanted to create in homage and an ode to the gay movies that made me grow as, you know, a gay. Because from my early teen years to me being an adult, I watched a lot of them. They really had an impact on how I chose to present myself or to think about myself. And yeah, it's about representation, because representation matter. And it's about how you grow to be very lonely when you're queer, and how you find solace and comfort into this loneliness. And for me, it was through movies. So each cushion basically is a sampler of said movie, with kind of an inventory of everything that I like about these movies. And so this is the last one I have to stitch and make. So I mean, you can't tell, but this is The We in the Eye by Michel Gondry of 2011, and it's a film about teenagers riding the school bus for their last trip home, right before the summer. And it's how, you know, the stories untangle and like their relationships tangle and unravel, etc. Really cute. And there were 2 gay men, like gay teens, in this movie, and I watched it when I was 12, and, you know, can't remember it. So I will tell you about this anon, because it's a big project for me, and so I want to take the time to tell you more about it and actually show you the cushions, which are considered to be fully finished objects. So yeah, I'll show you that. Now I'm done with the WIPs. I don't have anything else. I'm just gonna show you some haul, and I'll leave you to that. So I am buying a lot of books these days, because as an art student and an artist, it is important to me for me to settle everything that I do with history, and learn as much as I create. So this is un abécédaire du point croix. And basically it's a very simple introduction to needlework and cross stitch through its vocabulary. So we have pictures and like different kind of samplers, and it's simple. It's really an introduction for people who don't know about it. And also, oh my god, there's a beautiful darning sampler, and I did not know they existed until recently. And this is so beautiful. This is so beautiful. I love it. But yeah, first book that I like, and it's in French. I'm looking for French ones because it's hard to find. Recently, none have been made, so it's kind of hard to find. These two, for example, that I have here, they date back to the beginning of the 2000s. So, you know, but like, it's, you know, it's only 20 years old, and there's always stuff to get from these. Even if it's really binary, even if it's, you know, history books look like the times that they were written in, so sometimes they're not perfect, but they're still interesting. So this one, for example, this one is really, I haven't read this one, I've read the other one yet, and this one is very history oriented. So again, you have some beautiful pictures. Obviously, sampler is represented here, but also what I like about it, oh my god, this is the same one as the other one, the darning sampler. It's beautiful. But what I like about this one is that you can actually see objects, and for example, these are socks that have been stitched, and you can also see a shirt. I think it's a Romanian shirt, and it's quite impressive. And for example, the tatreez of Jordan Nassar is also put up on clothing. So yeah, it's cool to see cross stitch on clothing because we're very used now to see samplers and all, but it has been used and it can still be used in other ways. So that's really cool, really interesting. And I'm waiting for another one to arrive. It's an encyclopedia by Teresa, who was an embroiderer who worked with DMC at the time, end of 19th century, I believe, to create books and you know, cross-stitch charts for people to work at home. And so this is probably this big of a book, with a whole lot of information, and I'm really eager to read it and learn from it. And the last thing I'm going to show you and leave with you is one of my birthday gifts. And my sister got me these beautiful embroidery scissors that are so pointy. Like, can you see that? This is points, and the blade is really big, like really long. They're so beautiful, and so they are from Nogent. You won't see that, but Nogent is a town in France really known for their craftsmanship into making scissors, and especially embroidery scissors. So this is a beautiful pair, and I wanted to have my beautiful pair of scissors. Yeah. So I'm gonna make myself a little fob for it. I don't know if it's gonna be a cross stitch one, like a pincushion, or if it's going to be pearls, for example. But it's gonna be cute anyway, and I'll show you. Yeah, they're really, really cute. Anyway, so this is the end for me. This was my first FLOSSTUBE video. I hope you liked it. I hope you found stuff that you thought was interesting. I'll show you next time, probably for Finish Parade, to also show you stuff that I've done before, and also for this list of game movies video that will be showing you more about my own personal works. Yeah, in the meantime, passez une bonne semaine, profitez bien, brodez bien, puis moi je vous vois la prochaine fois.